Hello, Mzansi. Welcome to another episode of Farmers Inside Track. My name is Duncan Masiwa, and I'm your host for this episode, powered by the South African National Seed Organization. Have you ever stopped to think about where our food really begins? Now, you might not know this, but before a farmer plants anything in the ground, someone actually has to do the careful work of checking that the seed is healthy, that it's strong, and that it's ready to grow. And that person is a seed analyst. And in this episode, you and I get to meet one. Sarah Schulze, the Logistics and Quality Assurance Manager at Sakata Seed, Southern Africa, joins us to talk about the amazing work that they do in the agricultural sector. Sarah, welcome to Farmers Inside Track, and it's lovely having you with us.
Thank you for having me, Duncan.
Fantastic. Many people don't know what a seed analyst actually does. Sarah, in your own words, how would you describe this role and why is it so vital to our agricultural system?
Well, for me, a seed analyst really is the core of the quality of a company that is involved in agricultural seed. So we have seed physiology is what a seed analyst is looking at. They are looking at the actual physiology of the seed as well as its physiological potential. So they are looking at the germination, physical purity, moisture, and seed count of each individual seed lot that is either produced or being sold by a company. And it really is the base point for where any seed company's quality begins, is if their seed is of good quality and is good enough for sale for their customers.
That's fantastic. And of course, you and I will get to chat more about some of the amazing things that seed analysts do in the agricultural sector and also why it's so important. But maybe take us back, I suppose, to the beginning of your journey. What first drew you into the field or the world of seeds, and how did you find your way into seed analysis?
I think for me, it's very much the same as a lot of people who are interested in science. So I didn't actually know much about seed physiology or the agricultural field as such. I started off in molecular biology and genetics, and I was very much interested in the cellular work. And I started with Sakata on the research side, going on 15 years ago, because I was interested in exactly that: food security, plant growth, how we can contribute. I don't know much about agricultural practices myself, and I'm not much of a farmer myself. So one of the things that I could do is use something that I had studied, something that I was passionate about in science, just to be involved in the agricultural world. And I think that's where a lot of seed analysts now have actually had their beginning, where if you study science, it can lend itself to a lot of different areas. And that's exactly what happened for me. I was able to study the basics of a science degree and use it to branch into something that is extremely important to myself and to all of us, which is food security, but also something that I've found great passion in over the years.
It's always so fascinating to me to discover all these different worlds, I suppose, within the agricultural sector, and how they all really contribute to the overall success of a country's agricultural sector and food security at the end of the day as well.
Absolutely. The mind boggles at what's available. But again, it's not always something that people know about or is you're exposed to at university or school level. And that's very much where we are with seed analysts in the country and just as a whole in industry, is that you don't always know about it. Students aren't always aware of it being a possibility. And there really is so much to agriculture, as you say. So for our seed analysts, it's really the people who've got a bit of interest in the lab or a bit of interest in the science behind the seed, where we find our future seed analysts.
And it brings me to my next question. Like you mentioned, often when we think about food security and crop success, we often look at the end product. But how do seed analysts help shape the success of a harvest before the first seed even touches the soil?
Well, it's very interesting that you mentioned that, because you said it in the very beginning. Long before a farmer is planting the seed, the work has had to be done to make sure that that seed is good enough. So for us seed analysts, in industry, in the company that I'm working for, Sakata, we take a lot of time and effort into making sure that the seed is good. It's good quality. People are spending money on it because it is necessary, but it shouldn't be your biggest expense. But you do need it to be good quality. So for us seed analysts, they really are the starting point. They check that the quality of the seed is good. Seed is a living organism. It doesn't behave the same all the time. It doesn't have an indefinite shelf life. It does deteriorate. And every production is different. So even the same varieties can perform different from, each harvest. So it really is vital that analysts are in the lab checking the quality from the time seed is produced the whole way through its lifespan to make sure that, being one of the smallest costs that should go into agriculture, you can't get a good crop with great yield if you're starting with poor quality seed. So that really is why we rely on our analysts so heavily.
On the ground in the agricultural space, we often refer to farm workers as the unsung heroes, but I suppose that we have to include seed analysts in that as well, because you guys do all this amazing work behind the scenes, and I suppose you often are not at the forefront of, getting the acknowledgement when it comes to the important work that you do, Sarah.
I think there's probably a lot of fields, but in agriculture in particular, where the behind the scenes work really is so vital. And as you say, often overlooked because at the end of the day, we're looking for the output, the crop. But really, everything that goes into it is just so vital that it's all in place at the right time, the right quality. So very important in our mind.
In the South African context, what role do seed analysts play in supporting smallholder farmers and ensuring seed quality across diverse regions and conditions?
As I said, not every seed lot performs the same in different conditions. And not every seed lot is as good as the previous lot, or it's maybe better than the next lot is going to be. And really, the only way that a company can responsibly help a grower or a farmer or a smallhold farm is to make sure that we have as much information available that we can to help that farmer get the best out of their crop. So if we can give more information, any sensitivities in the crop, any problems that we've come across in the lots, if we can help guide to make sure that the right crop, the right lot is used in the right place at the right time, it really does guarantee success for someone who wants to make the best that they can of what they're doing for themselves, for their community, for the country. And it's the small things that we can do as an industry and as a company to really support that.
Sarah, for young people listening, especially those who might not yet know this career path actually exists, what would you say to them about the opportunities in seed science and quality assurance?
So for me, I really feel that, again, you don't always know about these sort of fields. You don't get exposed to them. Maybe you are lucky enough to have been exposed or know someone in industry who's mentioned it. But really for me, it's so important that people who are interested in seed science or seed physiology really look into what is available in agriculture. And again, same as I started in a very different area of science. If you are interested or passionate about seed, about food security, about agricultural practices, but you maybe don't want to be in the field checking the crop and growing it yourself. Yeah. It's really one of those things that you get exposed to more in industry and at universities. So SANSOR, as well as individual companies, we try to go through to career fairs and the sort of open days where we try to make it available for students to see that these are the careers that are available. If you have an interest in science, there are options for you. But it is one of those things that, it's really up to us as industry and universities and just anybody who can to make people aware of the fact that this is an option.
I would imagine that most of your work is indoors, but if you could plant one seed of wisdom for the next generation of seed analysts, what would that be?
The one thing that I always felt very strongly about for science, for agriculture, for seed science, for seed analysts is you have to be interested, which is always one of those things that if the interest isn't there, you're never going to make someone or force someone to be interested in a degree like this or in a career path like this because it is indoors. It is a very specific way of being. It is highly standardized and formalized work, and it is very much regulated because of obviously the importance of the information that the analysts are giving a company and a customer. So you really need to be interested, be committed, and have a little bit of passion. You know, if you're science-minded or you are interested in agriculture, as I say, but don't want to be outside, maybe you burn easily, maybe you tire easily, aren't great in the heat. There's such a need in industry for this kind of work. So I think just to stay driven, stay curious, stay a little bit passionate.
There you have it. Sarah Schulze, Logistics and Quality Assurance Manager at Sakata Seed, Southern Africa. So whether you're in agriculture or just curious about how food systems work, hopefully this episode has given you a fresh perspective and I suppose a new appreciation for the people working behind the scenes to keep our seeds and future strong. You can of course read more on this topic by visiting www.foodformzansi.co.za. And remember to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss any of the episodes. From me, Duncan Masiwa, our technical producer Megan van der Vent, and the rest of #Team Food for Mzansi, thanks for listening.